Hey, how's it going? It's Jack Osborne. You are listening to The Diary of a Madman with Dan and Josh.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast where we geek the fuck out about all things Ozzy, and like this episode, all things Ozzy related. I am Josh Crum. He is Mr. Dan Drago. How's it going, Dan?
I am doing great, Josh. It's great to see your face. It's been a couple of weeks, and I'm just excited to be back. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a great Aussie-centric podcast coming soon, but Josh, in his infinite wisdom, decided let's jump on and do a quick show about this great topic. Josh, why don't you tell everybody what the topic is today?
As you can see on my shirt, today's topic is Zakk Wylde. Black Label Society releases a new song, The Gallows.
The Gallows.
Can't wait to get into it later and see Dan's reaction to the new track, reaction to the video, and mine. But before we get into that, Dan, is there anything else you'd like to discuss real quick?
You know, not much. I know you went and saw Megadeth this week and were posting and sending me videos and everything. I mean, an iconic band. I do love Megadeth, of course. I absolutely love their first 4 to 5 records more than anything in their entire career. I mean, Killing Is My Business was actually my first Megadeth record. I had heard Megadeth before Killing Is My Business had come out, which is pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Showing my age here, ladies and gentlemen, but they were on some compilation,
Old.
Skull Beneath the Skin. And it was even listening to like a metal combination, a metal compilation when I'm a kid, and you listen to all those songs, and there's a lot of them that resonated with me and still do to this day. It's called Welcome to the Metal Zone, by the way, if you're listening. And Megadeth stood out on that, where it was like, holy shit, this band is unique, different.
Yeah.
Skull Beneath the Skin is such a crazy ass song. But how was the show?
Man, the show was awesome. I expected it to be awesome. I've only seen them the once. I've seen most of my favorite bands a million times each.
Right.
I've only seen them once, and it was at Ozfest. So you had like a 45-minute set, Ozfest '98 or whatever. So it was cool, man. And Dave sounded great. I even sent you a video, and you responded, "Hey,
Yeah,
Dave sounds really good."
he does sound great.
And I do like the new material as much as I do the old stuff. I've kept up with their newer stuff, like great. So, and they played a lot of the new material, new being the last 5, 6 records. So I
Wow.
really enjoyed it, man. It was a good show. I had a good time. So
L- Let
good to
me be
see Dave
clear.
back out there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And let me be clear, I don't dislike the newer stuff. The Sick, the Dead, and the Dying is a great record, and Dystopia was a
It
great
is.
record.
Mhm.
So I really, really love their last two. But for me, I'm the old guy. Nothing touches the early 4 or 5.
Yeah, I
Actually
get it.
through Cryptic Writings to me, everything through Cryptic Writings is absolutely stellar. I think that's a great record.
Cryptic Writings is my favorite Megadeth record, actually.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome to hear that.
yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
So
I know I was texting
yeah,
Josh. Are they playing She-Wolf? Because they do play She-Wolf a lot. They didn't though.
they didn't. But to be
Yeah.
fair, it's awesome that they mix the set list up. Not tonight,
Yeah. How
and
cool
that
is
is
that
cool.
that a band of that stature changes their set list night after night? Maybe 4 or 5 songs, but still, that's fucking great that they do that.
Yeah, I actually didn't look at the set prior because I wanted to. Yeah, I like those surprises. And once they played my show, and then I went back and was looking at the prior, there, like you said, there's about 4 or 5 songs a night that they alternate. And I said, that's pretty fucking cool. Like I can get with that for
So
sure.
they played Mechanics, which was kind of cool. What do you think of the fact that that's the song choice they did from the first record?
Why not? I mean,
Oh,
they know when they go into the Four Horsemen, or if half the crowd's gonna go nuts, thinking he's gonna play the Four Horsemen. And,
yeah.
you know, so
That's
then
probably a good
what's he
point.
singing right now? Like,
God, I wish that, out of their first record, which I think is so iconic, I'd much rather hear like Looking Down the Cross,
yeah,
Skull Beneath the Skin, Last Rites, Love You to Death. There's so much great material on that record. I'd be highly, Chosen Ones is fucking incredible. Rattlehead. Did they do Rattlehead?
they did.
Okay, at
They
least they
did.
did
Yeah,
Rattlehead. There's so many
yep,
great songs off the first one. It's great that they're playing old material, but Mechanics would be down there with These
yep,
Boots, towards the bottom of the
yeah.
list of what I'd want to
It's
hear
still
from
cool
that
though.
record.
I was shocked. I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is a shocker
Do you
for
think
me.
it's a fuck you to Metallica?
hundred
Or
percent, a
yeah,
hundred percent. I mean,
I
no
think
way.
so too.
You mentioned something a second ago too that I want to harp on real quick. You mentioned the compilation CDs. Kids today have no idea what a compilation CD really is, but man, in the day, that was how you got your shit out. And you remember Ozfest always had those compilation CDs
Yeah.
you would get mail in order or whatever.
Can
That's
I
how I
correct you
discovered
though, real
Seven
quick?
Dust.
This was a
Yeah.
compilation vinyl because I'm that fucking old.
Ooh.
Yes. I still have it. I should have brought it out. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Those have just kind of died by the wayside, but it all has. But how many bands did we discover growing up on a compilation CD like that?
Tons.
Yeah.
And not only just you had the comps that were like from this certain record label or their
Yep.
bands or
I
whatever.
love those.
But not only that, but soundtracks to movies and stuff would be compilation CDs where you would really learn about. You buy the soundtrack because it's got so and so on it, and then you hear this other band or whatever.
Yeah. Soundtracks
That's
were
how I discovered
iconic.
Sevendust was through compilation, the Ozfest compilation in '97. Had
That's how
Black
you
on it.
found them. Hey, do you know they're
Mhm.
going on tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Clint Lowry's not going to be with them. What do you think of that?
oh, it's not gonna. I've not seen that.
Yeah, it just came out today. See,
Oh,
this
see,
is
I've been working
live
that.
news, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Josh was working all day. But how do you feel?
Yeah.
Because to me, he's like, this will be great to go into the other topic we were talking about. But what do you think about Sevendust
Good
touring
segue.
without Clint Lowry?
Well, it happened before. He left the band a couple years, about 10 years ago. He left, and they brought in the guitar player from Snot. Oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart in his name right now. But he played on 2 albums, and then Clint came back. So he's taken his time away before, but Clint's very much a key member of the group. But the good thing about Sevendust is they all pretty much write, so that's a huge part of it. I think John Connolly, the other guitar player, writes more than people realize too. Because when Clint
Okay.
left, it still sounded like Sevendust.
So
Um,
they're doing the anniversary for Seasons. Is Clint on that
yes,
record?
which Seasons is my favorite album. Yeah, Clint is on
Oh,
that record. Yeah, and Seasons
okay.
is my favorite record. So that's my favorite Sevendust album. The closest they're coming to me is Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm debating it. It's about 3.5 hours, but
Oh,
I
that's
do love that album.
nothing. Isn't
Yeah,
Sevendust like your second favorite band?
yeah, yeah. I
Sevendust
love them.
over Marilyn Manson?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Manson's
just wasn't
something I
sure.
love Manson, and he's right there, but he's something I share that with my wife. So that's kind
Right.
of cool because she's such a huge Manson nut, and so we kind of share that one together. But I haven't read that about Clint yet. So now, as soon as we get down, I'm going to be getting online and trying to get the scoop on this. I've interviewed John Connolly once for a website, and he's excellent, good dude. And Lejean, actually, I'm going to name drop a little bit. We have a mutual friend, and they're the nicest guys, man. They're just down home Southern boys. Um, but no, I haven't read that yet. I'm
Yeah.
destroyed by that. Hopefully, it's nothing major. Just
It looks to be a neck injury. Like he's
also,
not
it's more of a
physically.
okay.
Yeah, kind of like probably what like Jason went through, I'd imagine, towards the end of Metallica.
He has had issues with that before. He's mentioned he
Okay.
headbangs
Yeah.
like the rest of us. And okay, well, I want him to have good health, but I'm glad it's not something you know in between the band members either. So
No,
that's
no.
cool.
Strictly a neck injury, which
Okay,
which is understandable once you get our age.
I'm
It's
having
kind
to.
of go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
cannot remember the
interesting.
guitar player's name.
Um, when Josh and I talk about other music, I think is really where we determine our age differences because Josh is much more into the new metal, Marilyn Manson, Sevendust, the Linkin Park era, where I'm much more into the early 80s, Metallica, Megadeth, Testament, thrash stuff, and a little Rat and Motley Crue and that sort of stuff, which I know you like a lot of that hair metal.
I
Josh is a
do.
hair metal freak. I could play him
I am.
any song by any band, and somehow, some way, he compares it to a fucking hair metal band. It actually drives me crazy. Who did I just send you this week where you're like, it
It
sounds like
it does drive him crazy for
hair
sure.
metal? I was like, Jesus Christ, not everything sounds like hair metal. God damn it.
I can't remember now who it was. I know. I can't remember, dude. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember
Sonny
either.
Mayo is the guitar player I couldn't think of from Snot. I
Oh,
got
that's
his
who replaced
autograph.
John Connolly.
He's the one he
Nice.
replaced Clint when Clint quit the
Yeah,
band a
that's what
few
I
years
meant. Sorry,
ago.
Clint Lowry.
And
We're
Sonny
all over
played
the
on
place.
Alpha also, which is my second favorite Sevendust record. So Sonny's solid.
Not the one with
Um,
black on it, huh?
Black's the original.
Yeah.
The self-titled. That album as a whole is one of my least favorites, actually.
Why?
Yeah, but Black's probably my favorite Sevendust song. Um, I don't know. I like the more
Interesting.
melodic side of Sevendust. They're a band who they're heavy and melodic, or they can be really heavy. And I kind of like when they are more melodic heavy. And
Right.
Seasons is a very melodic heavy record. So that's the one they also did an acoustic tour on because those songs transferred over to acoustic very well also. So yeah, that's exciting.
That's great to hear. So
Hopefully
talking about
Sonny Mayo, that'd be cool.
what was that?
I cast my vote for Sonny Mayo to come back and do the tour. So that would
Oh,
be
I don't
cool.
know. I did not read to see who is doing it, so I'll have to
Yeah.
try to find that information. But since we're talking about that era of music, which you're much more fond of than I am, and I like a lot of it. Like I actually really like Godsmack. That's probably my band from that
Mhm.
era that I kind of dig a lot. I think they have a lot of Metallica in the vocals for sure.
Yeah,
So Linkin Park is
they do.
reformed, uh, and they have released a new single, which I know nothing about. I haven't even listened to it yet. But you brought up a great question to me earlier today that I thought we should talk about here on the show. So why don't
Great.
you go ahead, talk a little bit about the single, what's going on, and the thought process you had.
So they have a new singer, right? It's a chick, and they released a new. Actually, have a whole
It's
new
a
album coming
chick.
out. It's a chick. Have a
Come
new album
on.
coming out, and they have released a new single, "The Emptiness Machine." The song, I like it a lot. By the way, I do like the song.
I
I
haven't
would
heard it.
say it front. It leads to a good question though. How do you feel about bands who lose a key member, moving on, and keeping the name for the tours, keeping the name for further, to do new material? Because let's be honest, the money's in the name. You could get Mike Shinoda and six dudes who were never in Lincoln Park and call it Lincoln Park, and people are going to come out and pay big money because it says Lincoln Park on the ticket, right? It's just the
Right.
reality. How do you feel about people moving forward with music they helped create also and continuing to tour under that name? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. So I think it depends on the actual person that is no longer in the band. So I actually think they should change the name of the band. I think Chester is a little too iconic and too noticeable to really be replaced. Like, and just hear me out here. I think Black Sabbath made a mistake about not calling the band something different with Dio. I think they would have been bigger. Not that they weren't huge, of course, and we all love the Dio material. I fucking love it. But how about Van Hagar? I mean, I think they could have went out as Van Hagar, and I think it would have been way better and not so compared. And they could have still went out and done David Lee Roth era
Yeah,
songs. And they could have called themselves different. And I think the band that did it the best to support my point is Creed, right? It was all three of those guys from Creed, and Scott Stapp left, and they brought in, um,
Miles
oh my
Kennedy.
gosh, yeah, Miles Kennedy, thank you, and they changed the name to Alter Bridge, and they are super successful. They could still play Creed songs if they want to do it, but it's clearly a different band, and I think that was the smartest thing to do. And now Creed is back. They're touring again under Creed, and it's not that messy situation of, well, Miles is out, Scott is back in. They could keep both going now. And I think that was the best way to do it. And nobody went, it's not Creed, it's Creed. Everybody knew exactly who those guys were.
It's hard to argue, man.
Yes.
That was very eloquent, very well stated. It ain't necessarily how I feel for the most part, but
Right.
you made your point well. Alter Bridge is the perfect example. So
Yeah.
fuck you for thinking about that, because that's the perfect example of how
Yeah.
they did that, and they did 100%. They nailed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, I do come under the belief also though that you got people in this band. Let's just go ahead and use Linkin Park, who were co-writers, who's performed on tour for 10 years or whatever. Chester made a decision to end his life, and that's unfortunate. He is iconic, no
Yeah.
question. He was always the face of the group. He was,
100%. More
um,
than Mike Shinoda.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I still feel like there's people who were involved who have the right to celebrate those songs also.
But they can do it and still play them on tour under a different name. They can
They can.
name they can name the band after maybe a Linkin Park song, whatever.
There's
They
but
could
but
definitely still
the
celebrate
issue
them.
there is the money. I mean, the money's, if it says Lincoln Park on the ticket, 60,000 people are going to come out, and if it says, I can't think of listen, when you're on the air, you have these brain farts. Like Sandy May, I could have told you that name in 2 seconds if I wasn't
I
on
couldn't tell you a
air.
Linkin Park song
And
'cause I
now I
just
can't
don't
think of a
listen to
Linkin
them,
Park
but
song because I'm on air. But if you name it, sadly that changes everything. And you can come out the other
But
end
Creed
eventually,
did
but
it. If they supported it and said the members of Linkin Park are forming a brand new band with singer so and so, I think it would sell. And there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with them playing a little bit smaller arenas to prove themselves again. And if they believe in their music, they could still play the
I
old
agree.
Linkin Park material. And it's the only place people are gonna hear it. So I think even if they went out with a different name, people would still go to the shows to hear the Linkin Park material. And you could even say playing songs from the Linkin Park era or something to that effect on the tour.
He's fucking winning me over. Fuck. I'm losing this battle with
So
him. He's
listen,
winning me over.
I was in a
I mean,
band for a long time, and I know you were as well. Downtrend. Now, you maybe not as bad as I was, but I had an original singer. He left. I had a different singer. It didn't work out. I have another singer. We had success. Then the original singer came back. It was like a fucking nightmare. Nobody knew who was even singing in the band anymore.
yeah.
And I just thought, fuck, I should have changed the name of the band right away when we lost the original singer.
You should have called it Jackie Lee's Red Dragon Cartel.
Exactly. Yes, but that's a little different because that is Jake's band. To me, that's a solo project in a way.
Just a corny joke.
No, it's great. I love it.
You're winning me over. I'm coming around to your side of that a little bit. A good example of that too is Pantera, right? If they had called it something else, Cowboys from Hell, with Zakk and and Charlie and Phil and Rex, but we're playing Pantera songs, would they still be doing it's curious to know where would they be, right?
Listen, when Black Sabbath went out as Heaven and Hell, did they lose a ticket sale? No. Nope. When they went out as Heaven and Hell, everybody knew exactly who they were and the material that was going to be heard, and they did not lose a ticket sale. And it was super successful. Now, you had your naysayers, probably someone that was like, oh, it should be Black Sabbath. But at the end of the day, it didn't affect the concert. It didn't affect anything. And I like that better because you knew you weren't getting Iron Man, War Pigs. If they went out as Black Sabbath, you had to get those songs.
Right.
But you go out as Heaven and Hell, that's a little bit different topic than Linkin Park. But you go out as Heaven and Hell, and you knew exactly the show you were going to get, all Dio era material, which was fucking incredible.
Very supportive of the name change when they did it. And I know they did it because of the contract with Ozzy. We all realized that. It was like this is it. But at the same time, I felt like for Ronnie and the guys, it was like this material's good enough to have its own identity. It doesn't have to fall under Black Sabbath. To me, it was a tribute to them. It's good enough to have its own identity. We don't
Heaven
have to
and
do
Hell. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
Heaven and Hell is one of the greatest records ever made. I can say that as a diehard Ozzy fan. I believe that through my core. I think Heaven and Hell is one of the greatest records ever made. But Mob Rules is right there with it.
My next one was going to say Mob Rules is right there for sure.
Yeah. So if they would have called the band a new name after Ozzy left or got fired, don't you think on the strength of that material, it would have been as popular?
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah. I mean, featuring members of Black Sabbath and Rainbow, it would have been huge, no matter when that was released, because the material is so good. And I think if Linkin Park believes in their shit and they're writing material as good as what they did with Chester, thank you. They're gonna believe that shit and put it out under something new, like Mark Tremonti did with Alter Bridge. And guess what? Alter Bridge's stuff is fucking incredible.
And like you said, it made that Creed reunion that much harder when it happened. Because it's a name that's not been on the ticket in so damn long.
Yeah. Now, they couldn't do that with Chester, unfortunately. So it's a little bit different. But
a little bit different.
Yeah.
You're winning me over. I like your argument, man.
Yeah. And it's not like when, Al Atkins left Judas Priest and Rob Halford came in. Nobody fucking knows who you are at that point. But, when Rob left, should they have continued on with Ripper? I mean, it's such a tough fucking question, man.
It is.
Was
it in Ted Templeman's book? It was in someone's book, though, that Van Halen did offer to call it Van Hagar, and Sammy said no.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, I've read that for sure. That 100%. They offered to change the name of the band, and Sammy said no. He's like, let's just keep. You've established it.
Let's roll with it. Because he didn't.
He was already gone, wasn't he? It was in one of their books. Gone. It was in someone's book.
Sammy's.
And he was like, no, I'm joining your band. We'll call it Van Halen. It's fine. But, looking back, Van Hagar would have been fine. And I wish I went to that tour. They played Cincinnati recently, and I've watched all kinds of video, and they are tearing it up.
Yeah, it's amazing. I should have went to that tour too. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Van Hagar.
Fucking ageless wonder, dude.
He's amazing, man.
He's like 78.
I know. And he sounds fucking incredible, looks incredible, has so much energy. I just am in love with Sammy Hagar, man.
One of my friends, he went to the Cincinnati show and he messaged me. He's like, Jason Bonham's not here. He's like, he had a family emergency. And I was like, shit, are they canceling? He's like, no, they got another drummer. I don't know who. So then he goes live on Facebook. I'm like, that's fucking Kenny Aronoff. He's better than Bonham.
Yes, he is.
You upgraded, for sure. Dude,
I love that
awesome.
Aronoff is his buddy, man. I am. Yeah, Kenny Aronoff is the man.
Legit, flew in that morning and just knocked that shit out. That guy is a monster.
So before we get to our topic, I just want to say for a future episode, since you so eloquently mentioned Kenny Aronoff, we will be covering the Fused and DEP session remasters of Tony Iommi with Glenn Hughes. Two of my favorite records of all time. I'll just tell you straight up, I think they're fucking incredible. And I personally, we'll have to have a debate here, but I think they each deserve their own episode instead of doing them together because there's so much great material there. But super excited about that.
I'm excited about them too. Just for them to get their light of day. You know what I mean? Like Fused is so fun. I've loved Fused from day one. Like such a good album.
I actually bought a bootleg of the DEP sessions before it came out. I still have it. It was called Eighth Star, which I'm sure all you Black Sabbath, diehards like Josh and I know it. But I have the bootleg of it called Eighth Star. So I had that record long before it came out. But I have the version with Dave Holland on drums on the bootleg, which they obviously removed. We talked about that last episode with Jimmy Copley. So definitely super excited about them. I love them both. I think Gone is one of the greatest riffs Tony Iommi has ever written. It is so fucking catchy. And I think, all right, I'm not going to say what I think about those records, but they're just fucking incredible. And I was going to say something sacrilegious, but check them out. They're coming out soon. We're going to do episodes to really talk about the detail. The last thing I'll say about it personally is I can't find the vinyl in the States. It all seems to be coming from the UK. So if you guys find the vinyl in the States, do Dan a personal favor, drop a link on our Diary of the Madman social medias so I can buy it, because I definitely am not going to let those get away.
Another ageless wonder, by the way, Glenn Hughes.
Fuck. Amazing.
Fucking better with age. That guy is a fucking alien.
I love Glenn Hughes, but there's just something magical with Tony and Glenn. Like I really like Glenn, but Tony with Glenn, it's fucking incredible.
Definitely a conversation for those shows, but they should tour. They just should.
I'd rather see that tour than the Tony Martin tour. I mean, I love the Tony Martin stuff, but nothing touches Fused.
And I'd rather see that than Black Country Communion.
Hell yeah. I mean, not even close.
Yeah.
Like and I love the first Black Country Communion, and the second one's pretty solid too, but that's just one of those bands that I just don't follow like I used to.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, you ready to get into it?
Let's get into it. I'm super excited.
The Gallows.
The Gallows was released today. Super, surprise. The first thing I want to say is I had no idea until this week that a new song was going to come out. What about you, Josh?
No, it very under wraps. I was on Facebook one day just fucking off, and there it is on Zakk's story. And I was like, oh, September 10th. I'm like, shit. Did the little clip, and I sent you like, hey, new Zakk. What the fuck? So exciting.
Yeah. Always excited when Zakk is basically a part of the show as much as anybody. From an outside of Ozzy, I think Zakk has got that closest. Like, holy shit. I
think outside of Ozzy, he's our second biggest topic.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. So super excited. So first initial reaction, I'll go first. Gallows comes out today, and it is very underwhelming upon first listen. I've listened to it about 5 times today. It has gotten a little better. I would say it's shocking that it's a single. And to me, it sounds like a middle of the road record that would be on a really okay Black Label Society record. It would be track 7. That'd be like, okay, let's get on to the next track.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So my initial reaction was similar. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I'm wearing his shirt right now. We're fucking love Zakk.
Huge fans.
And no one 3 episodes ago, Dan called him the greatest guitar player to ever live. So let's be clear, we're massive fans. I was a little underwhelmed also. When I first heard it, I was kind of like, ugh. It sounded like a little bit more like a generic End of Days. Upon first listen.
Zakk, paint by numbers, right? We talk about this sometimes where he just paint by numbers, writes riffs, and puts these songs together really quick. That's what it sounds like to me.
Now, I will say I had a lot of windshield time today. I was out driving, and I did listen to it probably about 10 times. It does grow. It's better than my initial reaction. You said middle of the.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say you said middle of the pack. I think it reminded me of Grimmest Hits.
Yeah.
I think it reminded me of kind of a middle of the pack track on that album,
which was I think my least liked Black Label record. And
that's what I was going to say, kind of a lower end Black Label record, honestly. So, I think, a little underwhelming, a safe way to putting it, but at the same time, it's not awful. It's just, it's not great. It's not bad. It's a okay, good Black Label Society song.
Kind of forgettable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's one of those songs I've heard Zakk do a lot, and it just doesn't stand out to me. I think the vocal melody is very drony, and it just doesn't change enough for me. And I think that's where my biggest issue is. Everything is off of that. I think it's drop C sharp, and everything is based off of that open C sharp. So to me, it's strange when you don't have any key changes at all within a song, and the song just doesn't have any. And I think that is kind of, and it doesn't have to have like a progressive key change, but if you're in C sharp, you could go, to B or something like that in the or E in the chorus. Just give it something a little bit of a different flavor. And I was really surprised nothing happened there.
I think I'm going to speak for both of us. I think the issue too with this song, the reason it's a little bit underwhelming, me and you talked about it before we got on air, is that Doom Crew was so fucking good.
It's amazing.
Doom Crew was fucking great. And this goes back, we compared it to Grimmest Hits, which was not as great. So I think, as I listened to it today, it got better and better with each listen. And there's things I like about it. There's things I would have done differently. But then I went back and listened to Set You Free, and I listened to You Made Me Want to Live, and I'm going, oh, like those fucking smoked this track. Like, so that kind of put it back in perspective to me of where I place it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's middle of the pack. It may grow on us more, right? It's been literally a half day that we've been able to listen to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But you mentioned the droning and this. For me, I think part of my issue with the song is this. Zakk's singing remarkably high on this song. I'm sure you picked it because you listened to that closely. Like he's up there. His register is up there. Zakk can do sometimes so low. I hate to say it. It's like we're bashing him tonight. I hate to do that. But it's almost like a mush mouth sometimes because he goes so low and it's kind of, and then he has the Ozzy impersonation voice that he does sometimes. This track's kind of more of a high where it stayed high. And I don't know. I felt like if he went for a lower register on the verses and then went high on the chorus, it might give it that dynamic that it's lacking.
Well, because it's just all in that same scale. The whole fucking melody is always, and this is my biggest pet peeve of the song. And Evil Shuffle does the exact same thing, and that's obviously not Zakk's fault, but it's a huge pet peeve of mine. So the bridge riff comes in again. I think it's based off of C sharp. It's got that cool wow wow wow, almost like a hole in the sky type of riff, and they get the cowbell going. I was like, yes, now we're getting into some classic. And he comes in and sings the fucking chorus. You will be the last. You'll be the first. You'll be the last over the bridge. And I'm like, geez, it makes it so repetitive. And Ozzy does the exact same thing on Evil Walks, and that drove me crazy because
Evil Shuffle.
I'm sorry, Evil Shuffle. I always say Evil Walks. It's an AC/DC song.
That'd be a cool title.
It is.
I like that.
It's AC/DC. It's off of
okay.
Not to Rock. That's why I say it all the time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Evil Shuffle. Ozzy just does the same thing. He repeats the chorus over the bridge change in the music. And to me, and I probably said it when we did that episode, it's lazy. He could have written a different melody over that just to make it more exciting. Yeah. I think that was my most disappointing part of the song.
No, I agree. And I hate to say this, but it sounds like it's almost just a copy and paste of the fucking chorus. Like it ain't even like it ain't even like a different take. It sounds like the same fucking.
Yeah, that's so common in today's day in music. We've done it before in my band.
And I'm like you. If Zakk could have wrote 2 more lines to sing over that bridge with a little bit of a different melody, it would have changed so fucking much.
So much, 100%.
So much going. Because let's talk about the positives. We're being pretty negative early on. For one, I do think it's a cool fucking riff.
Yeah.
You said Hole in the Sky. I hear
I'm talking about the bridge.
Okay.
No. The bridge is Hole in the Sky. The main riff is clearly Into the Void.
Like an Into the Void.
Yeah. He does it for sure. He's playing it. It's in the same key.
But no, the riff sounds like, Into the Void, and I think the riff is cool. The melody, I don't like that high register. The melody was kind of, and like you said, the chorus melody and the verse melody are so similar that it's kind of, like you said, it's kind of monotone across.
Yeah.
But like you said a second ago, the bridge gets to a cool, fun groove, and you're going, okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like you said, cowbell's kicking in, the riff changes, and I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to get into something here. And like you said, I'm just repeating you, that lazy chorus right over that again. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And
I
we're
just
gonna go
don't
over the
understand.
lyrics in a minute. But when you look at the lyrics, they're like 6 lines, which I'm cool with if it works.
Sure.
But Zack's good enough to write us 2 more lines to put over that bridge and make
Yeah.
that bridge kick
And
ass.
change the melody. That's what I
Yeah,
needed.
yeah,
He
yeah.
could
And
have
just
kept
change
the
the
fucking
melody a little bit.
lyrics. He
Yeah,
needed to change the melody. And
yeah.
to me, that's what makes the song too drony and too repetitive.
Even
It's
if you do a drum like one of those, you know, to where but something make it different,
yeah,
right? You
100%.
know,
And he pedals the E. I'm sorry, well, the E string. He pedals the C sharp in the chorus, and he's doing the walk down. So it is a different riff, even though it's based off the same
hmm
scale. But if he would have just actually did the walk down without pedaling the E, like he does this in Miracle Man, actually, it would have just changed the whole vibe of the song, and it wouldn't
agreed.
have been so samey. But with him
So
pedaling that open E string, and keep hitting that C sharp over and over, it makes that riff sound so much the same. Those two riffs sound so
yeah,
similar together.
yeah,
Even though they don't, I mean, I hear the nuances between the both of them, but it
yeah.
just has that same scale, same vibe, same feel. The drums don't change. Nothing. It's just like, you know, very repetitive.
And then we slide into the solo.
Yep. Solo's great.
Solos are killer.
Yeah. 100%.
Let's just throw this out there. Dario is a fucking monster.
He is a monster for sure. Yeah.
And with all, whatever the Nick Cat needs, like the true evil twin is Dario because he sounds so similar to Zakk, but just slightly enough distinctible the other way that it's not Zakk. But they're he's so in tune with Zakk. I think a lot of it has to do with he probably uses Zack's gear. So
And they're actually Dario's a little smoother and Zakk is a little bit more abrasive. And I don't mean
I
that
agree with
in
that.
a negative way. It's just their
The
sound
style.
and style. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is going to sound crazy and I'll wrap myself out. When I was listening to the song, I just assumed that Zakk did the whole solo.
So
And go ahead.
no, please go ahead.
And until I saw the video and I was like, holy shit, they're trading it off. And actually, it made it much more fun and interesting for me to make the solo my favorite part of the song. I love the trade-offs.
So when I heard it and the solo first started, I'm like, okay, that's Dario. I did pick up on it.
Okay.
But then halfway through, I'm like, oh, there's
There's
Zakk.
Zakk.
So I thought it was a half and half solo.
But it's not.
And then when I watched the video, it's not. It's like eighths. It's like
Yeah, it's like fast.
like Dario Zakk, Dario Zakk,
Yeah.
Dario Zakk, Dario Zakk. I was like, oh, okay. Well,
They
okay.
played together at the end too, which is really
Yeah.
killer. Yeah.
So those guys trading off.
Yeah, I'll
That's
take
what
that
we
every day,
want.
all day.
Yes.
100%. Yeah, and I'm
For
not
sure.
trying. Listen, I'm not trying to be negative. My standard for Zakk Wylde is no different from my standard with Ozzy. Like, I called Zakk Wylde the best fucking guitar player on the planet, and I mean that. I think the guy is fucking mind blowing. I would go to battle for Zakk Wylde. That's how much I fucking love
100%.
the guy. I just think that this song is just not one of my favorites. That's all. I hope everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but it definitely has its moments.
Yeah.
Like we said, we're not cheating on it. It's got
No.
the solo is awesome. The groove and the bridge is awesome. The riff is awesome. It's
Yeah,
more
the
the
riff is
vocal
great.
melody probably. I think that's the issue. When
The
it's
vocal
said done.
melody and the lack of familiarity with the riff. It's just all of them
Yeah.
are so the verse and the choruses are just too similar. Matter of fact, so the drums kick in at the beginning of the first chorus. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Which I thought was cool.
I thought it was still the verse. I didn't realize until the second chorus that I was like, holy shit, that was the chorus. Because I just thought it was like maybe an extension of the riff. So I was expecting, so when it went back to the verse, I was like, holy shit, there either's no chorus or that was the chorus.
Yeah.
That's how similar they were. I thought it was almost a pre-chorus, which it
Yeah.
would get away from it. It could get away with it if it was a pre-chorus,
Yeah.
right? But that chorus needs to be hookier and I think a different key just to make it more exciting.
And let's be clear too. I don't think we would give it as hard a time if it were an album track. It's just as a weird single out of nowhere for the Doom Crew came out in 2021, so we're 3 years down the road, and for this to be the song you kind of drop, it seems like an odd choice a little bit. So, which leads me to the next thing I wanted to discuss with you. Do you read an article that you sent me earlier from Classic Rock? What was it?
Classic rock and culture.
Classic
I
Rock,
have it pulled up. Yep.
where they got some things with Zakk. Let's go ahead and read that to us. Let's just go ahead and read that now.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the song because when he talks about writing the song, it's all weird stuff about Richard Simmons and him being a powerlifting guru.
One of a
So,
kind.
all right, so this is what he says though that really caught my attention. Two things, and I want to get into both of them. The first one is this. I think this is what you were hinting at. So Zakk said the most recent Black Sabbath, talking about the next Black Label Society album. I think in 2025 we're going to be doing more tour dates with the Pantera celebration, and I'll be doing some Zakk Sabbath stuff as well. With Black Label, we're just going to keep writing and recording. Probably in 2026 we'll put the new album out. But for next year, it's pretty much just going to be the Pantera celebration, us touring and doing that, honoring Dimebag and Vinny. I think in between that, we'll do some Zakk Sabbath shows as well. What do you
Okay.
think of that?
So that tells me that we live in an era of content, and content is king. You know, period. TikTok, YouTube, content. I think this song may never actually be on a Black Label Society record,
Which I think would be cool.
and would be very cool. That's great. So I think Zack's recently realized that they've signed on for more dates with Pantera, right? The Zakk Sabbath thing, I know that irritates some people. To me, it don't. I think Zakk Sabbath is quick and easy. So I think he can do Zakk Sabbath on the off moments of Pantera without doing full blown rehearsals with Black Label to get a real show together. I think to me that's just Zakk don't want to be home. Let's be clear, motherfucker ain't been home in 30 years, right? Like he works. So I
Lives
think
and
he does
breathes it.
Zakk 100%. So I think he does Zakk Sabbath more because it's quick and easy, and he can get out there with it without so much preparation that Black Label requires. That's my opinion. So that
So
said,
obviously the money is with Pantera, and nobody can slight him for that. I mean, I'm so excited and happy for Zakk and Barbara and his family that he gets to do this because he's probably making a boatload of cash, and he deserves it, man. I mean, I always root for Zakk, so that doesn't bother me. I actually thought they had an album in the can. Why did I
I
think
did
that?
too. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm so
know.
confused. I thought they had an album in the can. So I don't know why. The only thing I think is this. I think the album is in the can. I do think the Gallows might be on the record. I think he can't release it until he can tour on it. And he can't tour until 2026 because of all his contract obligations to Pantera. And like you said, content is king. And I wonder if the record label was like, hey, dude, can you at least just put out a single now? Just keep your name out there and
Yeah.
we'll release the record in a year and a half.
I think we agree on that, and I think that's accurate. I just do. I think this song was released simply to give us Black Label fans something to chew on. Here we are tonight recording an episode about it, right? And
Right.
and Zakk fans all over the fucking world are celebrating a new track right now, and we are thankful to have it. Let's be clear, we've shit on
Oh
it
yeah.
some. We're still thankful as hell to have it, and it's content's king. I kind of took it like the record wasn't done, but maybe it is done. And like you said, you want to tour. Let's be real. Look, for those of you that don't know music industry, it's shifted a lot in the past 20 years. The money these days is in touring. It's not in album
All of it.
sales.
Yep.
So in the day, you would tour to promote your record because the record made money. Now you do records to promote tours. It's reality.
100%.
It's
Yep.
it's switched. So that said, maybe Zakk does have it completely in the can, and maybe the Gallows is on it. And like you said, he has to wait to tour. I'm so committed with Pantera that I can't do it till 26. So I want to wait, release the record then. Maybe,
It
maybe,
makes the most sense to me. It
and
really
that's
does.
fine.
I mean, you
That's
can't
fine,
release the record now and then say I'm going to tour on it in 2026. It just
right?
wouldn't work. Yeah,
Yeah,
it just doesn't
but
work.
it leads to why even release this except for content.
Yeah.
So after you and I discussed this already, but we'll share it with the listeners. After listening to the Gallows 10 times today, I got a little playlist on my phone called Zakk Attack. And it's all things Zakk Wylde. And guess what? The rest of the fucking day, I jammed Black Label Society. What did you do after listening to the Gallows, Dan?
Yep. I put right on the Doom Crew Inc. record. I mean, I went straight to it and listened to it and, reveled in its glory because I do think it's a brilliant record.
Oh, Doom Crew.
Yeah.
You and I discussed this a minute ago off air. So let's just say this: it's the top 4 Black Label Society record of
Yeah.
all time.
No question about it. It's that
It
good.
really. And
Yeah.
so a part of us shitting on the Gallows a little is just because Doom Crew was so good. That's a definite.
Yeah, and it's not like Zakk hasn't done this style of song before, and that's not again, the song is just fine, but it isn't anywhere near the stratosphere Set You Free or You Make Me Want to Live, the 2 singles from the last record. Not even in
Agreed.
the same stratosphere. Those songs are just much thought out, more interesting, and more catchy melodically, just everything about it. This is a fine rock song. I think this would have been great, like I said earlier, track 7 on the new record, whatever that's going to be called. But to
But
be the
again,
lead single,
that's the
yeah,
weird. But again, the band is on it, which is awesome. You know,
awesome.
we were so excited with Doom Crew that the band was on it, and the band clearly live drums and such, and it matters. You know,
Oh,
that's
let's
just so
touch on
killer.
that. The fucking sound is incredible. Hats
Oh, it
off
sounds
to Zakk
great.
on the production. He really has the Vatican dialed in. It might be the best sounding Black Label Society song I've ever heard. So let's talk a little bit about the positives. But sonically, I think it sounds fucking
It
great.
does.
The guitars sound awesome. And early on, let's be quite clear and quite frank, some of those early Black Label Society records production was god awful, man.
Yeah.
So to see him really have it dialed in and just pumping it out, and I just think it sounds great. Like
Yeah, it sounds
I
great.
was like, if they do any new Pantera songs, they could do it at the Vatican, no problem. Zakk has his studio dialed the fuck in.
Right there. So let's dive into this. You said it would be great as track 7 on the new record.
Right.
Maybe it is. Like, just because we got it 2 fucking years before the new record, I mean, it's really the lead single. Like, maybe he has better songs for this record that they want to release closer to album release. But
Maybe.
we'll give them this one to chew on. Yeah, this is the middle of the pack track, but it's something new, middle of the
And,
pack. I don't mind if they hear this one early.
and it's 3 minutes and 50 seconds, single length, easy to digest.
Mm-hmm.
It rocks. I mean, there's no fucking way he's releasing a ballad. And we
Right.
know his ballads are the fucking best, but there is no way
For
he's
sure.
going to release that a year and a half before his record. So he wanted something that rocks. So I'm sure maybe you're right. Maybe just like, hey, let's just pick the most basic, what he considers accessible song on the record, but it's not accessible from a vocal melody standpoint.
We're on to it, Dan. God
Yeah.
damn it. We cracked the code.
We cracked
We
the
cracked
code.
the code, Zakk.
So
We know
let
what you
me-
did.
let
It's
me
not
just
the lead single. Sorry, Dan.
Let me
I'm
just
bad to
piggyback
interrupt.
on something else he said in this interview with Classic Rock and Culture. And this is something he has said before. And I just want to talk about this. So he said, it's so funny because when I think about the old days when we would track, when I first started working with Ozzy, everyone would be in the studio. We'd write and go over these songs like we're getting ready for a tour, he recalls. To me, it just sucks the living life out of them when you have a brand new song. I understand it fully because it's studio time. You want to get in there, knock it out, and get out of there without being in there for a week to record a half a song. But at the same time, the way we make the Black Label, whether it's Stillborn, Suicide Messiah, or the new one, the Gallows, I could just be jamming on this riff in my gym, on my amp, and then I just go to the Vatican and track it. And to me, that says a lot. And it doesn't say a lot in a positive manner because I think you can hear the quality difference in songs. I feel like Doom Crew was more thought out and more a band situation. Not that Zakk didn't write it all, but to me, this does sound like it's just, yep, I wrote the riff in the morning and I finished it at night.
Yeah.
You know?
And the answer is always usually in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like you ain't got to overkill it, but you could kind of think it out a little more, which is probably where Doom Crew fell, right? Right in the middle. You know, like,
Right.
yeah, you can give it a little more thought than that, but you ain't got to kill it. Doom Crew definitely had a little more production, it felt like. And I don't mean production like behind the board production. I mean like just pre-production, I guess is a good way of putting it, than a lot of the Black Label records. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that tells a lot. But I think we've cracked the code. There's better songs in this upcoming album. It's just he don't want to release those so far out.
Right.
That's it.
And let's be perfectly honest. I mean, whatever he releases, we're going to be excited for, and we'll be doing an episode that day. So, I mean, I'm excited it's here, and
Yes.
all love to Zakk. But again,
Absolutely.
you know, not one of my favorites. I'll just put it that way.
Before we before we go over the video, read the lyrics real quick. Let's just
sure.
quickly.
Okay, so I have the lyrics
much.
pulled up. It says, "Waters of despair until there's nothing left. I've died again inside. You've taken my dying breath." So waters of despair until there's nothing left. I've died again inside. You've taken my dying breath. So that is
Kind of cool.
the first verse. Yeah, I think Zakk actually is a great lyric writer.
He
You
is
will be the first.
underappreciated.
Underappreciated.
Mhm.
You will be the first. You will be the last. It took me a second. I couldn't tell at first if he was saying you won't be the last, but he does say
Me
you will
too.
be the last. Yeah. So you will be the first. You will be the last. Together we shall burn as our gallows turn to ash. It's a pretty cool lyric. I think the
Cool
lyrics are
line.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Verse 2, running from my fate as the vultures await what's theirs. I've died again inside, and I'll be there for your final ride. So, kind of a little play off on the first verse. I've died again inside. He says again, and I'll be there for your final ride. Another cool lyric. And then the rest of the song is just that you'll be the first, you'll be the last. Together we shall burn as our gallows turn to ash. Any idea what you think that is about?
No,
To me, it just sounds like cool words going on that doesn't really have
I agree, and
yeah,
that's
a
fine.
deeper meaning. And that's fine.
That's
There's
fine.
a lot of songs like that for sure.
Yeah, that they all don't have to be "We Are the World," right? So, I
Yeah,
mean,
100%. Yeah. Until there's none I've died again inside, you've taken my dying breath. Be the first, you will be the last. Together we shall burn as our gallows turn to ash. I don't know, man. It's about a relationship that's killing him that he just can't get out of.
that's about the best I can think of. Barbara Ann's
Yeah.
driving him nuts, and
Yeah.
she'll be the
No,
first, and
not
she'll be the
Barbara
last.
Ann. It could be a relationship about anything, a relationship with alcohol or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But
Yeah,
Zakk is an underappreciated lyric writer. Those are some good
for
lyrics,
sure.
and I don't need lyrics to tell me. I like lyrics that make you think, "What is this about? Let me try to
Mhm.
figure it out." You know,
And they don't always have to tell a story. It's great when they
no,
do, and it's great when they don't. It's like, it's whatever.
100%.
And not to
I just
mention
wish,
how many songs Zach writes, and after a while, you have writer's block, and you run out of ideas. He keeps
uh,
pumping these lyrics out.
yeah,
I
100%.
mean,
And yeah, I think there could have been more lyrics, especially I don't mind the repeat of the chorus. I write a lot of songs like that, verse
me
one,
too.
chorus, verse two, chorus, bridge, chorus out. I mean, it's
Mhm.
it's a very easy formula that I follow. But at the end of the day, I just wish he would have added more lyrics to that bridge and to change the melody. Gosh, that was the only production I wish the
Yep,
producer would have given him.
I agree. I agree.
So what do you think of the
So that
video?
I was going to say the video. You and I kind of touched on this before we got on air. I thought the video was rad as shit. I actually
Yeah.
really liked the video.
Yeah, the video's fun.
I like the shot of them with the lights behind them, and Zach's kind of out front, and the lights are shining. I thought they looked cool. And
They look
furthermore,
awesome.
the wild audio guitars they're gorgeous. But the one that Dario was playing, fuck, that
Incredible.
guitar was hot looking,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Awesome. I
Man.
love the bridge in the video too, and when it goes to slow motion,
Mhm.
that part was awesome.
That was
'Cause
cool.
they're headbanging, and it just that part was really, really killer, man.
And it's in slow motion, and it shows JD's bass string, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
slapping.
100%.
It's a cool,
Yeah,
that video was cool as hell.
yeah,
So many people overthink the music videos sometimes. That's all we really need. Get some psychedelic background with the guys jamming in front of it and mix it up. And I thought it was fucking killer.
yeah. I mean, there's like
Simple.
3 guitar players on the planet. I personally think I could just watch play, and they don't need anything cool. And that's Zakk Wylde, Tony Iommi, and actually James Hetfield. I think James Hetfield is a god too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
for
just
sure.
that guy. I could watch that guy play rhythm all fucking day. And I just think Zakk did a great job, whoever produced it, of just capturing the magic of the band. And I love when they were soloing and Dario kind of walks over to him and they're kind of trading off those licks. Really, really
Very cool.
awesome.
It's a
I
cool
actually like
video.
made the song better. And I think that's what a
Mhm.
video should do.
Yes.
And I think the video made the song better.
It complements it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fun. Like you said, it's fun watching them play off each other. And that's because it's hard to hear it. And we
Right.
talked about that earlier. So yeah, the video was cool, and like I said, just a little psychedelic background or whatever. That's truly like I would take that video over, over the video for "Set You Free" any day, or those goofy ones. They're
I
fun
like
too,
some of the
but
goofy ones, man.
but
I love Zack's
I like the
goofy
live
attitude.
videos like that.
Yeah.
Zakk, his ability, like, let's be real. There's no one more serious than Zakk about what he's doing.
No
He's a
question.
fucking pro, top to bottom. Pro, top to
Since
bottom.
day
Doesn't
one.
do drugs. Doesn't fuck with none of this shit. But at the same time, he's the biggest goofball in every room. It's amazing how he walks that line of being the world's biggest goofball and the world's most serious musician at the same time. But he does it excellent.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
Room of Nightmares, that video with the little clown. I mean, he keeps on pumping that stuff. End of Days video where him and JD beat the shit out of each other.
That's
but they're
classic.
wearing bear suits and stuff.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
love it. Absolutely love it.
So
Yeah.
it's all fun, man. He does such a good job of keeping it light. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
supposed to be fun. You know.
It's kind of strange because I mean, I actually think Catacombs of the Black Vatican is also an incredible record. I mean, he went
Fuck
on a pretty good
yes.
run because, we all know how
Mhm.
much I fucking love Shot to Hell, but Shot to Hell, Order of the Black, and Catacombs of the Black Vatican, or I'm not going to count them black, and those three records are absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And, what sandwiches them? Mafia and Grimace Tits. And I think we both agree is high. Some songs are in Mafia. It's definitely one of my least liked albums.
Yeah. Fire It Up might be like a top 5 Black Label song, but at the same time, man, some of those others, Say What You Will, and some of those other tracks, you just kind of go, ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It suffered from you'll remember this though. At that time, albums were really fucking long.
Oh, too long.
14, 15, 16 songs. And
Yeah.
I think Mafia suffers from that a little bit too. It's just a little bit too much. And
It is too much, 100%.
I'm glad we're getting back to the 9 and 10 song albums, truthfully, because it's so much more appealing to the ear to just not have to devote that much time to listening to the record, you know.
But as a caveat, Patient Number
Let's-
9 can be that long every damn day. And I hope
Unless
his
it's
next
Ozzy.
album, can be twice as long. Just give us
Yeah.
26 songs next time, Ozzy. I'm
Yeah,
okay
when
with it.
13 came out as essentially a double disc, we're like, yeah.
Yeah. 16 songs, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
deal.
Typically, bands, I do love Black Label, but most bands can't get away with 14,
Yeah.
15 songs. It's just a
Yeah.
lot,
And I think in that era, you were forced to do that. You know what I mean? Like they were trying to combat like the downloading and this and that, right? So they want to give content on the CDs.
Well, and CD held so much
So,
time, 80 minutes. I
yeah.
think people were like, and I'm the one, and I know you agree with this. I'd rather have it released and choose to say I like it, I don't like it, than not have it released at all.
100%.
Every
Yeah, true.
time, I'd much rather have I'd rather have Dark Side Blues released than not have it at all. Maybe not
Exactly.
twice, but
That's
I'd
a
rather
weird
have
move,
it.
wasn't it?
It is a weird fucking
That was
move,
a weird move.
especially when you have 3 unreleased songs. I just don't understand that, man. It's very strange. We
Yeah.
thought for sure that was going to be like a 3.5, 4-minute version of the song.
Like a full version. Like they wrote it
Yes.
out. They finished
Yeah,
it.
they finished it, and I was like, oh, they just put some fucking reverb and weird effects
Made
on
it sound worse.
Yeah, it made it sound worse. So let's just finish with this quick topic.
Yeah.
And this episode went a lot longer than I thought it was going to go, which is awesome.
It did. It did.
You and I get to talking, man. Who knows what's going to come out? So I don't hear Ozzy at all in this. Like when the riff starts, I don't go, holy shit, that sounds like a Zakk Ozzy song. I think Zakk now has that style of his own where it's like, yep, that sounds like a Black Label Society song, not a Zakk and Ozzy song. I think that's great. You want to have your own identity, but I don't hear this riff and go, fuck, I wish Ozzy was writing to this one.
Right.
What about you?
I agree. Yeah, there's some throughout the years you go, oh man, I'd like to hear Ozzy sing on that, or I
Yeah.
agree totally. And it's kind of something. And another thing I wanted to kind of jump on that you said earlier, somehow Zack's one of the 3 guitar players in the world, or this or that. Ryan said it in our group chat. When Ozzy played the LA Rams game, and Andrew Watt was on guitar, and Andrew, listen, everybody knows we love Andrew.
Love him.
He's playing Patient Number 9, and then Zakk walks up and does Crazy Train, and there's this cosmic fucking shift of that's a guitar player,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Just his presence and the way
Aura.
he demands.
Yep.
He oozes. Zakk just oozes this presence and aura and commands the stage. I think that's kind of what you were talking about earlier. Was that?
Yeah.
He's just got that it thing.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
Andrew's a perfectly fine player, but when Zakk comes, it's like, oh gosh, like.
Your eyes go straight to him, right?
100%.
Tony, and for me, it's James. I mean, I'm always watching what James is doing when he's
Yeah.
on stage. I think James is just a cool motherfucker, man. Always. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now all these videos are coming out of him smoking his cigars on side
He's
of
just
the
the
stage
greatest,
and stuff.
man. I love him. I've been on a kick of watching a lot of old Metallica.
Yeah.
I was watching
Yeah.
clips from the Ride the Lightning tour. Fuck, were they tight back then? I mean, and you could say what you want about Metallica, but Hungry Metallica, unstoppable. They really were.
I love them. I love
Yeah.
them. All right, Danny, you got anything to say before we finish up?
I don't. We'll be back soon. We got a great Ozzy episode cooking. We actually have 2 ideas that I think that are cooking. And then, of course, we'll be back for the Fused episode as well. But we got a great Aussie idea cooking. We just have to do a lot of research. And once that's done, we'll be ready to record.
Good deal. In the meantime, give us your thoughts on the Gallows. Comment below. Do you dig it? Do you agree with us? Is it growing on you? How do you feel about it? Do you
Support
think it's gonna be
Zakk.
the lead single? Support
Yeah.
Zakk for sure.
Support
You know,
Zakk.
and
Download the single, listen to it, do whatever, watch the video. Let's get it. I mean, granted, we were a little harsh on it, but fuck, between the 2 of us, we gave 15 listens today. So,
yeah.
and
And we recorded
definitely
the episode to talk about it. So yeah,
yeah. But I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll listen to it tomorrow. I'll
For
listen to
sure.
it. It's a fine song. It just doesn't have those highs where I was like, holy shit, Zakk is back.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. When we first heard Set You Free, it was like, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it didn't have that. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, you finished an episode this time.
Thanks for coming.
No, thank you for coming.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast where we geek the fuck. Let me do that one more time, and you do that too. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast.
Do that again.
About all
Your
things-
voice did something real weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
So,
Mike Chernobyl, whatever his name is.
Mike Chernobyl.
I don't fucking know a thing about Linkin Park. All right, go ahead.
Mike Shinoda. Oh yeah. So, man, can you believe how much Ryan fucking hates this track? What the?
Yeah,
fuck?
I mean, you would think it was called Over the Mountain Part 2. I mean, he
Right?
was ripping the shit out of it. I was like, oh my gosh.
All it needs for him to hate it more is that fucking killer drum intro, and he fucking can't stand it.
That's right. Oh man.